We are finally here. The dive bar. I don't know how many teasers we can put out for one podcast, but we are here with Bobby Schaus. We are here with Joe Robbie, myself, Ghost of Adam Gase. Cheers, everybody. We got a special first time podcast, first episode. You all know who it is. We got him coming up in a few seconds here. Let's get it popping, Bobby. And we are back, and you notice another face on the podcast, none other than our long snapper one, Blake Ferguson, our 6th round 2020 185th overall pick. How we doing, Blake?
What is the deal, fellas? How we doing?
Cheers, boys.
Yeah,
cheers, everybody. Let's all get one cheers in before we start. This is a good one. What are you drinking, Blake?
Oh, this is just some classic iced tea. I'm from the South, man. That's like, if it's not like water or Powerade or bourbon, we got some iced tea going.
Sweet or unsweet?
This is sweetened with Splenda. You got to watch the sugar. As a diabetic, I watch my sugar. So I try to stay away from the true sweet tea. But there are a lot of grocery stores sell like tea with Splenda, you know what I mean? So that's my go-to. But yeah, man, it's an honor to be the first guest. This is super cool. And
you think it's cool? It's cool for us.
This is,
yeah. If you think it's cool for you, it's pretty cool for us, man.
This is the first time I've talked to any of you guys like outside of the trenches on Twitter, where you guys are where I find you guys going to war like day in and day out. But you guys are the best. Like it's so much fun following each of you and seeing you guys supporting the team, because like as players, we wouldn't be able to do what we do without our fans, without our supporters, without the people like y'all. So truly it is an honor to hang with you guys.
Well, we appreciate it, Blake, even though you didn't follow me until about 10 minutes ago. I'm not going to hold it against you, so that's fine. I thought I already did something wrong and screwed up. I'm like, I thought the locker room hated me. I'm like, you know what? That's fine. I do what I do. I try to support the team, but I appreciate you, Blake. I appreciate that.
You never know, and you never know how that goes. So, like,
yeah,
you never know.
It's a real question.
Hey, but side note, I think the new Twitter name is Trenches for Dolphins Twitter. It's Dolphins Trenches.
Yeah,
Dolphins Trenches. I love it. So let's kick it off, Blake. Probably, I mean, you're a fan favorite, man. So, you know, you're a leader on this team. You're a leader in the locker room. So for those of you that don't know much about you, I just want to go back because you have a very unique background. You have a very unique upbringing. Your father was a college football player. We all know about Reed up in Buffalo, even though we're not going to hold it against him. I know he's your brother. I'm not going to talk too much. You know what? But let's talk about a little bit of growing up. What it was like growing up in Southern Florida. Your unique upbringing, and both you and Reed, going to the same college, LSU. You were redshirted behind him. So what was that experience like growing up? How did you get into long snapping, and when did you know that this was going to be a career for you?
No, it's cool, man. Like, I think about it all the time, and obviously my brother does as well. We go back and forth about it, but like truly we are so blessed to be able to do what we do for a living and to be on rival teams going through this together. Like beyond just like what we get to do, like we are competing at the highest level for division championships, ultimately the goal being world titles, and just to be able to do that across the sideline at least twice a year from my older brother is super, super cool. So we both are just incredibly blessed to be able to do that. But so I'll go kind of all the way back. So I started playing football when I was like in 4th grade, something like that. And I didn't get started in long snapping until I was in probably 7th or 8th grade. But it kind of happened by accident. So my brother, who is 3 years older than me, he was like a tight end, defensive end type player on his like 8th grade and freshman teams and stuff. And he wasn't like the best athlete. He wasn't playing a whole lot. And the
Tell him, Blake. Tell him.
The guy who was long snapping for his team at the time got hurt. He like broke his hand or his arm or something, and they needed somebody to long snap. And he had never done it before. And he was like, well, I'm, not doing a whole lot on offense and defense. Let me try my hand at this and see what I can do. And so he started learning how to do it. He started going to some of the camps that they run around the country. There are like specialist camps for kickers, punters, and long snappers that they run nationwide. There are a couple of different groups that do it. But so he started going to those and getting some exposure for recruiting and just kind of getting better. And so I saw him getting this like college attention. Like my mom would send us out to get the mail, and I would see like Tennessee, LSU, like all these schools like sending him mail. And I was like what is happening? And so I was like, well, shoot, let me see what I can do. Like, I'm going to go out there in the yard and start long snapping with you, and ultimately I sort of followed the same track that he did, where I was going through the camps and, we'd meet with different coaches and recruiting and going to games at different places. And it has now blossomed into a beautiful career for both of us. I think this year will be a combined 14 professional seasons between the two of us, which is really, really cool. But yeah, man, it kind of happened by accident. And I think, it's definitely a blessing from the Lord that we have been able to do this and that he's given us the platform to do a lot of good because of this, beyond just what we do on the football field. We're both very active in our communities. And, I think that's a result of sort of our upbringing and just impacting those around us and what we want to do, beyond just football.
I actually have a quick question.
Awesome. Yeah, go ahead.
If not because of your abilities, but if you can choose one other position on the football field to excel in, and say you never became a long snapper and you were gifted in this other field, what would be the position you would choose?
It'd probably be tight end. That was what I played primarily growing up. I was like a tight end and defensive end, sort of similar to what I was talking about my brother. Just because we've got similar body types. Probably tight end. I was pretty good when I was like in like middle school and like kind of getting older. But I knew that it wasn't like a professional deal for me. Like I knew I wouldn't probably do that professionally. And so I kind of wanted to find my niche, however you want to pronounce that, in something else. And that for me, that was long snapping. And but yeah, it would probably be tight end.
It's funny you say tight end.
Or blocking tight end, or you got the hands?
Oh, I got hand. My one-handed catch is elite, man.
He's got mitts, baby. He's got mitts.
That's the LSU thing.
I'm telling you, yes.
So speaking of tight end, Madden clearly does not agree because they make you a tight end every year, and you're a 44 overall, and they tell me I need to cut you. They tell me I need to cut you every year.
If I had $1 for every time I've met people or like on Twitter, somebody will bring up, you're the first player that I cut on my Madden franchise. And I'm like, I get it, but like, come on, man. Like, I'll be
like that's your opener.
Signing autographs at training camp, and this kid, he's like 7 years old. He's like, I cut you every year on Madden. I'm like, all right, here's your ball back.
Well, you get to that point every time. It's like you need to cut 4 players, and you're you're looking at the like, I'd rather cut the 10th string guard, the 8th cornerback, and it's like, no, trust me, cut Blake Ferguson. You don't need him. He's overkill. He's a 44 tight end, by God. And I'm like, but he sent me autographed football. I can't cut the guy.
Well, maybe this year he'll be
Blake,
a 48.
Blake. Oh, that's true. Number change. We'll talk about the number change in a minute. Blake, we gotta somehow lobby Madden to make like a separate control or a separate feature when you're kicking a field goal, when you're kicking a punt, where like I don't know, where the quarterback's accuracy is kind of like with that it has like a I don't know, like a graph now, and you got to time it and everything like that.
Yeah.
They got to do something like that for you guys, and you got to have a long snapping rating. You got it, right?
Yeah, like an accuracy meter for long snapping.
Something
that would get some sweats going.
Somebody brought that up this week. Actually, I wanted to ask you that. I don't remember anyways, but have you ever had a bad snap? Like as a Dolphin?
Jesus, Bob. Knock on the wood.
Bob, kick yourself out. Just go ahead and
come on, Bob.
No, hey, I trust his craft. I trust his
Bobby?
craft.
Get out.
Holy
I trust his
Get out,
craft.
Bobby. What the hell? The commentator's curse, brother. Why?
Yeah, no, knock on wood. We have not had any game-changing issues as a result of my performance. But we will pretend that didn't get asked.
All right, we're moving on real
I can't
quick.
believe it.
What was it like? What was the butt kick like?
Oh, you know what? It was weird because I thought the punt got blocked. I was like, if you watch the replay of it, I was like mugged up on my guy that I was blocking, and I heard it. Like I heard the ball hit Scherf's butt, and I thought it was like the boom, like somebody had blocked it, and they had gotten through because it was on like the 1 yard line. Like it was super tight. But I just kind of was like looking up for it because when a kick gets blocked, it just kind of it turns into chaos, and I was just kind of looking up for it. And the best case scenario for us in that situation was a safety, because if they had gotten on the ball, scored a touchdown, it would have completely changed that game. But yeah, thankfully we were able to get out of that game, and that one didn't cost us, but it sure made it a little bit tricky there at the end.
Yeah, tell us about
that.
That
was in the same game.
Jesus Christ.
A comment just came through. Ghost is an actual real person.
Yeah. Unfortunately for a lot of people, that I'm actually a real person.
Well, Lee Kenneth and Blake Ferguson found out today that Ghost is real.
Yeah, I'm actually real.
That's why he wouldn't follow you. He had to give visual evidence.
Yeah, I'm finally real. But Blake, I know Bob's, Bayou Bob over here. He's a big LSU guy. And I know he's got a ton of questions for you about LSU. I mean, that goes down. I'll let you guys speak for that. But the team that you were on, that goes down as one of the, if not the greatest college football team of all time. So I'll let Bob lead into that. But he knows way more about that team, and that's his team. So
yeah, so that was one of the first years I lived in Louisiana. We're at my old lady's dad's house watching all the games. Family's going nuts. Joe Burrow. Oh my God. They don't get it. Anyways, 14 players drafted, 6 more UDFAs. I mean, we're talking about arguably the best college team of all time. You're in the locker room, Coach O, Gold Tigers, all that. Tell us about it, man. What was that like, man? What was that journey like? What was it like being on campus with those guys, seeing it from start to finish? What was that like, man?
It's crazy looking back at that season and like thinking about all of the small things that you just forget about, and watching the dancing in the locker room videos and the
White House,
dancing at the White House with one of our boosters' wives. Like it was just a crazy year, man. And you got to have a pretty good football team if your long snapper gets drafted, right? Like that is a heck of a season. But it was cool, man. Like you could kind of tell early on in that off season that
I don't know if I'm going to curse, but every time You know what? Pull up at a tailgate. Pull up and see.
Sorry, that was a hilarious comment.
It's this huge inside joke on Dolphins Twitter that I'm like 5'2", and I don't know where it came. It is. It's just I don't know where it came from.
He's actually 5'4", which is I can confirm.
You fucking scumbags.
Did you ever see the picture I posted? I said, Xavier Howard takes picture with Superfan Ghost, and it's a kid with Ghost's head on it.
Oh no! Oh man,
That thing got 800
All right,
likes.
Let's get back to LSU and Coach O. Let's go back to LSU.
Ghost is tired of getting clowned. It's okay. But like it was just, man, that year was so crazy. But that offseason, you could just tell like we had a special team, and it was cool because it's like all of those guys, most all of those guys turned out to be elite players. And it was just an interesting sort of story because
Bro, the comment section's killing me. I can't even keep a straight face.
I know. It's super distracting. But like each of those guys sort of found their way to LSU in a different way. Like Joe Burrow had been to Ohio State.
Yeah.
He went through the whole transfer thing because he broke his hand when he was there and he ended up losing his spot as the starter. Thaddeus Moss, Randy Moss's son, transferred. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, our running back, was like one of the last, one of the least recruited players, but he was like from Baton Rouge. He was not the tallest guy, and it was just like a story of a bunch of underdogs and guys who had kind of been through a lot and fought through adversity, and we all found ourselves there in 2019 with the same goal. And we all had an opportunity to do something really, really special. And Coach O, I would die for that man. Like Coach O is the best motivator of men I've been around. Like he has juice when nobody else has juice. And he knew to allow his coordinators and his coaches to coach because he knew that was not his strong suit. He knew that play calling was not his thing. He knew that offensive play calling was definitely not his thing. So he brought in Joe Brady. He brought in Brady. Dave Aranda was our defensive coordinator. Elite play callers, and it all culminated in us being what I say is the best college football team of all time.
Other than the 2001 Kings, but it's fine.
I hear from a lot of Canes fans being in South Florida. I hear from a lot of Canes fans that they think that the early 2000s Canes were better. But that's the beauty of sports is we'll never know, and we could talk for hours about which team is better. But the obvious answer is the 2019 LSU Tigers.
I'll defer to Blake today.
Well, the crazy thing is, like, the 2001 so long ago, we're going to see some crazy stuff coming up with that team. Like, Justin Jefferson just set the market. Jamar Chase probably looking over there like, watch this, hold my beer. Yeah. Joe Burrow is already, like, one of the highest paid quarterbacks.
Yeah, so, it's crazy, like, how quickly time flies. Like, it feels like we were just, we had just won it, and we were all kind of going through the combine and the Senior Bowl and, anticipating Joe going number 1 overall and seeing kind of who would shake out after that from our team. But, yeah, I mean, Jets, he reset the market and deservingly so. Like, he is a phenomenal player, and, I'm super, super pumped for him. Obviously, Jamar will have his contract here soon. I'm assuming that's next year. I'm not super. I don't keep up with a lot of the contract stuff besides what I see on social media about who signs new stuff. But there we go. Canes fans.
It doesn't count because Bobby has control. So
there you go.
He's only letting comments that are.
As he says that, his dad's in the comments talking about the Canes.
Yeah.
Speaking of my dad,
Blake.
he is, Blake, a huge barbecue guy. Like, he's got every barbecue, the green egg, he's got the hibachi one, he's got the crazy.
Like my guy.
Oh, he's definitely your guy.
Yeah.
And he roasts more meat than anybody I know. Pause.
Come on.
Pause.
We need to do we need to get him down to South Florida. We'll do like an event. We'll do like a meetup, like a barbecue meetup.
We need to do like a skit. We need to barbecue at Blake's. Make a
Ooh.
video.
Don't tempt me.
Drop another podcast.
And by the way, we live in South Florida, by the way.
Plantation.
These boys are out of towners.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I'm in Plantation.
Oh, y'all neighbors. Y'all are neighbors.
I love Fort Lauderdale area. Miami is a little too difficult to get in and out of, a little too congested for me. I like being, in a more of a neighborhood as opposed to like the high rise stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
100% with you.
We've got guys everywhere. That's kind of the nice part about where our facility and our stadium are, is that you could live in, Fort Lauderdale area. You can live down in Brickell, when we were in Davie.
I don't suggest it though.
What'd you say?
I don't suggest living in Brickell.
No, I don't either. But it's nice that you have that option, based on where our facility is. But when we were in Davie before at the old facility, you were kind of landlocked to more like Broward County, because it was just it would have been so far to drive down all the way down to Miami every day. But now it's like 20-25 minutes. It's not too bad, if you want to live down there and be kind of in the mix. But that's just not my forte.
It's funny, you lived in Davie too, right, Joe?
Yeah, so I was born and raised down here, and my rule of thumb is I love Miami. I think Miami's a lot of fun, but you don't want to go back and forth from Miami. So my rule is, if you love Miami, you live in Miami, you never leave Miami. You love Fort Lauderdale, you live in Fort Lauderdale, you never leave Fort Lauderdale, because driving back and forth is such a mission down here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the only times that I really go down to Miami are if they're like our friends in town and they want to go eat somewhere, down in South Beach or down in Miami, or if I'm going to a Heat game. But I rarely go to Heat games just because it's so much farther than.
I haven't been to a Heat game in 3 years, bro. I refuse.
Yeah.
I love the Heat.
The crowd doesn't show up till halftime.
Yeah, that's like one of the weirdest things to me about going to those games is like how empty the stands are, like into the second quarter of a Heat game. Even like, so I went to a finals game last year, and it was the same way. I'm like, how much are you people paying for these tickets just to not watch all of the game? Like I go to the Panthers games all the time, and I like start to finish, I am in my seat when it starts and all the way to the end of the game. And I don't understand the like second quarter arrival culture, but that's just like when I got here, they were like, yeah, Miami fans just they don't, operate on the same time.
It's only the Heat though. It's because of down the Bayside area. It's unbelievable to get into.
Yeah, it's
like
super
if you don't live there, like
is,
getting to the stadium or the arena is impossible.
Yeah, parking is a headache. I've never done the Bright Line thing. I've heard that's a better option, but even then, it's still kind of inconvenient because you got to go to the place, park, drive, ride the thing, and then you still got to like walk kind of a ways, from what I understand. But yeah, going to Heat games is really one of the only reasons that I actually go down to Miami, just because it's so congested getting in and out of there on 95. And, there's a lot to do in Fort Lauderdale that you can, enjoy without the headache of getting down there.
I love what's your favorite restaurant in Fort Lauderdale?
So one of our favorites that we go to very, very regularly is Vignetto's in Plantation.
So Frank and Joe are my best friends.
Yeah. So Frank,
I love that place, bro.
Frank, we've been
actually. I just took my wife and her mom tonight before the show.
Oh, no way!
Swear to God. You can't even make it up. We go there every Friday during the season, and we've always. Don't say that too loud. I'm just kidding.
People, we walk in there and people know who we are. Like The
Fan favorite, Blake. Fan favorite.
There's
People know.
a guy every Friday. He and his wife are there. Mr. Jim, sweet couple. They send us a bottle of wine every time we go, and they're like the best people. And she works with veterans, like they are salt of the earth people. They're in there every Friday, and they always, they're always waving to us and just super, super welcoming. Like that is one of my favorite places that we go eat.
It's literally my favorite.
Let's see. I like.
Oh, hold on. Before you go any further, Vignetto's, just so everybody knows, is in a plaza that you would not think is an
Super unassuming. It's like
unbelievable Italian restaurant.
It's like behind a FedEx and a McDonald's. It's like
it used to be an IHOP. Yeah. So, and nobody knows this, and of course the best steaks anywhere. I don't care what anybody says.
Yes.
And I don't eat steaks out because I love to cook steak. Like unbelievable.
Yeah, their New York strip is
out of this world.
Top steaks I've ever had.
What was the other one you were gonna say?
I was just trying to think of like more in Fort Lauderdale. I like going down to, if I am gonna go to like Miami, there's a place in Aventura, Bourbon Steak. It's at the Turnberry.
Mm-hmm.
I go there quite a bit. That place is really freaking good.
A little bit more expensive.
Yes, definitely more expensive. That's like a swanky dinner spot. But that's like a celebration, whatever holiday, you know what I mean, type of place. But there's so much good food down in South Florida. There's so many different cultures and types of food and different cuisine. I love that part about South Florida is like the options of different places. The sushi, the fish, the Italian food,
everything,
all the different, like South American. There's a bunch of South American influence, obviously. But yeah.
Did you ever eat South American food before moving here? I'm sorry, I gotta ask.
Jesus Christ, we can get y'all. Look, sideline team makes a good point. What was Hard Knocks like as a player? And what is the actual feel as a player about Hard Knocks? Like, how does that actually feel as a player to have Hard Knocks, to have the cameras rolling 24/7, to like have everything documented, your ups, your downs, everything? What's that like? What's Hard Knocks like?
It was cool, man. It was definitely not what I expected. They were not nearly as intrusive as I thought that they were going to be. They had certain times that they were filming. They were very clear in their communication when we would be on camera, when we wouldn't be on camera. The people were super nice, like all of the NFL Films crew. They were all super nice people. They were not trying to, do one of those gotcha moments where, that you've seen in Hard Knocks past. Like
for sure.
It was very obvious. I ended up watching it after the season. It was very obvious that they were trying to tell the positive, uplifting stories. The guys whose stories should be told were featured on those, like the Zach Sealers of the world, people like that you want to know more about, that are just high character, high integrity people. Alec Ingold, those were the guys that were featured on there. But like in the meetings and stuff, like there was not like a crew of people in the meetings. It was like a 360-degree like swivel camera that you could see like over in the corner, and you could see it like moving around, but you didn't even think about it because you were just paying attention to what the coaches were saying or whatever. And then they weren't like in our meal rooms. They weren't like in the locker room, except during like the media. Shout out to my guy, Derek. They were only in the locker room like after practice and after games when the other media are in there. So you kind of know, when they're going to be around and when, they're going to be filming. But it was nice to know like that at the end of the day, everything had to run through our communications department. and they weren't going to put us in an uncomfortable spot if something got captured that they didn't want, the whole world seeing. So
Right.
that was definitely like an added layer of protection for players, coaches, whatever, to just be yourself, not feel like that you've got to, hide from the camera every time that they're around, because, they may catch funny moments, but at the end of the day, like you're protected by the people, in the front office who are, watching that before it actually goes out on the
I was waiting for somebody to do it.
on the streaming. So that's funny.
So Blake, you touched on something that I want to touch on here. There's two things actually. So the first one, from like a fan perspective, you always hear about a team that's going to be on Hard Knocks, and I'll tell you what, like half of the fan base, and like nobody knows what's going on behind the doors. We're like, oh, like, is that going to be a distraction for the team? From your perspective, like, is there? I know that you kind of just explained the little differences, but from like a specific distraction standpoint, does it ever at any point take away from like a focus, even if it's just minimal? Or is it something that you just don't even think about, and you guys are professionals, you just focus on what you're going to do? Just like a real perspective on that, because as fans, we're like, oh, we don't know if that's going to distract the team. Finally got a great team together and a great group of guys. So what do you think about something like that from the perspective?
You know what? I think when we were told about the Hard Knocks deal, which we did not, the Dolphins did not sign up for that. The league told us that we were doing that. And so that was not what anybody was planning to do. We knew how special of a team last year's roster was. And when they told us, I think a lot of us had, concerns about just everything that you guys are saying, just because of how well things were going at that point in the season. But you know what? It kind of going back to my first answer, it was not as much of a distraction as I expected it to be. There were obviously other things that sort of happened throughout the back half of the season that made it incredibly difficult down the stretch on us. And so I don't think I cannot sit here and say that Hard Knocks was the reason that we lost in the first round of the playoffs. I do not think that was ultimately a distraction to the point where it affected, the performance on Sundays.
And that's very respectable to say.
When the lights are on. I don't.
Yeah.
There are so many. We're in front of cameras all the time that you just kind of get used to being in front of cameras, practice, whatever. They're just always around. So it really was not a big deal to just have another, camera crew walking around from time to time.
And you got us three. We don't even know what to do with our hands.
Yeah, we're sitting here like this, like Ricky Bobby over here. Yeah.
So you talked about how you can't blame
food all day, so it's a weird thing.
You can't blame Hard Knocks for y'all losing in the first round of the playoffs. But how does that impact the locker room? Knowing that is like a stigma on top of y'all's head, like a dark cloud, however you want to say it. Adversity is opportunity.
Come on.
However you want to talk about it, but
come on, Bobby.
How does that actually impact
Come on, Bob.
the team? And where is y'all's mindset at now? After going through that and going forward, how does that all work?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just kind of roll with the punches. You have to in this league, man. It is super, super hard to win. And like you said, adversity is an opportunity. Mike has it on the walls in the locker room. And if you don't use adversity, to better yourself and better the team, at the end of the day, you are going to crumble. And as a professional athlete, you have to be 10 feet tall and bulletproof when you walk on the field, and nothing can be, a distraction. Nothing can be, nothing can get in the way of you achieving what you want to achieve, both personally and as a team. And, I think going into this year, we've got such a great roster this year. Every year is a different roster. It is crazy how much the league turns over year to year. Fortunately, we were able to keep a lot of our really, really, really good pieces. Obviously, we lost a lot of really good pieces as well. But I think that you have to trust that the coaches and the front office are going to bring in guys into the locker room that fit the character, integrity, the makeup of the guys that you want to go to war with every Sunday. And from there, you just go out and play. And I think the beauty of what Mike has done with our culture in our building is that we are as strong of a team right now as we've ever been. And there are so many new guys that are they just walked in the door, but like, they're just like, all right, here we go. Like we don't have time to slow down. And there's a culture of guys hanging out in the building, off the field, team functions. Like, guys want to be around each other, and that only makes you a better team at the, when it comes down to crunch time, when you're going out there with however many seconds on the clock to kick the game-winning field goal against the Dallas Cowboys. And when it's crunch time and when it really matters down the stretch, those are the things that attribute to that success.
Now, Blake.
And let me ask you another question real quick.
Yeah, oh, yeah, you go ahead.
So, in regards to Mike McDaniel's style, obviously you're with Flores before. What's the biggest difference? I know it should be pretty obvious, but I want to hear it from you. Like, what's the biggest difference between coaching styles?
You know what? I've been around a lot of different coaches throughout the course of my career. Everybody has their own style. I think the beauty of what Mike is doing right now is just his ability to make coming to work fun and make each and every day exciting for the players. And it builds a roster of guys who want to go the extra mile, who are you're encouraged to show up early, and you're encouraged to stay late and be around your guys, because there's just this culture of going the extra mile and working just that little bit harder because you want to see your team succeed and you want to see your guys on your team succeed as well. So it is a really, really cool culture that I experienced a little bit when I was at LSU. There are a lot of similarities to the last sort of few years when I was there, that like guys really enjoyed being around each other and coming to work. And ultimately, like that has to result in wins, because we are in a performance-based occupation. But I think that it's very obvious, why Mike and sort of the coaching tree that he comes from has had the success that they have everywhere. Like,
I feel like they really figured it out. Like, they just figured out how to get the most out of their players. And it's so important because people don't realize that, I'm an NFL athlete, but I'm also a person.
Yeah. And so
and the mentals matter every day going to work. It's just like going to any job. Yeah.
Yeah. And I 100% agree. And that's something that Joe Brady was really big on when he was at LSU. I was not, with him in the meeting rooms every day because I was not an offensive player, but that sort of culture was something that was big for him when we were in Baton Rouge together. And I see a lot of similarities in that sort of with what Mike has done in Miami. And like, you want to put your players in positions to succeed, right? Like coaches don't always have 100% say over who is on their roster, right? Like, they've got other people who are in scouting and building out rosters and things like that. And I won't go into any details on that from our specific team standpoint, but at the end of the day, those coaches are tasked with, they are given a roster of players that they want to put in good positions to make plays, and you've got to do the best with the roster of players that you're given, And
sometimes people don't realize, like, I can't just pick a player in free agency and go, okay, I want that guy. It doesn't work like that.
Right. Yeah. You don't have the opportunity at every single player. You would like to think that that's a thing, but it's just not realistic. But at the end of the day, you are tasked as a coach with getting the most out of your players. And so you build offenses, defenses, special teams around the players that you do have, and their strengths, trying to sort of build up the weaknesses that they've got and make those into strengths. But yeah, I would say that this sort of new wave of coaching has done a really, really good job of that. Mike specifically.
Blake, you talk a lot about the locker room and the guys that you're going to bring in, and you want those team guys, especially the culture that Mike is bringing in. And I know that you're a humble guy, and but you have a history here. You have, in 2019, you're the team captain. You're constantly looked at as, and I was talking about LSU there, but you have a history of being a leader in the locker rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you're a humble guy, but what is it about you that you just bring to the locker room that everyone looks up to you as the leader? Because sometimes from a fan perspective, people look at it from like a positional thing where like quarterback always has to be the leader, the running back or the wide receiver, the star player has to be a leader, but you're constantly it's your track record throughout your college career, high school. You're looked at this locker room. What is it about you that you bring to the locker room that you try to portray and what you want to bring in terms of team?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I appreciate you saying that. That means a lot, because that is what I try to do for this team. Cheers to that. Yeah. But I think when it comes down to it, I have just tried to be really consistent throughout the course of my football career, as a guy in the locker room who plays a position that is not the most looked at position. A lot of times on NFL broadcasts, they don't even show the snap because they're showing the third down replay, and then all of a sudden the punt is away and you just never even see the long snap. So it's often a forgotten about position.
Let's get a hashtag going. Show the snap on Sundays.
Yes.
Hashtag show the snap.
And I
hashtag show the snap, buddy.
On Twitter, because that needs to be seen. Like we do a good job and we work really hard. We want people.
Well, Blake, I was actually watching your workout videos with Coach. It starts with disease, Coach Donner over in Arizona.
Yeah.
I had no idea that you're counting the rotation. Oh God.
Yeah. Bobby, you gotta stop reading the comments, brother. You gotta keep your stuff together here. Bobby's been giggling for the last 20 minutes.
So J-Cap, I know we'll get right back. I know exactly where we left off, but J-Cap, he's been blowing up the comments. He wants to know how many people love or hate King of Finland.
Give it to us straight. Give it to us straight. We deserve the truth.
You have no idea who he is.
Gosh, y'all are funny, man. Y'all are funny. I don't know all of the intricacies to like who has beef with who on.
No, we call him the Disney Channel of Dolphins Twitter because he's always like overly positive and he's always posting the nice stuff. So we're just busting him. We're just busting his balls.
He's actually a really good dude. He's a nice kid.
He did catch a stray like a couple months ago.
We got him.
I was trying.
We got him.
We'll get back to what I was talking about.
No, tell us the stray.
King of Finland catching strays.
This is what we want.
All right, Blake, hold on. Just explain that stray for 1 second because that is gold. Like that's really funny. I think it was Tyreek that set it out.
I think we all know what I'm talking about, but
all right, we'll get back.
I love what you guys are doing as a fan base on Dolphins Twitter. But I mean, I want everything to be very supportive and uplifting. But at the end of the day, y'all are fans. Y'all are responsible for our paychecks. So I get why there's criticism. Y'all are entitled to have an opinion, and so I get it. Oftentimes there are. There can be some animosity, but no, I that's kind of,
these are both. We just wanted to mess with them, but getting back to leadership.
I don't want to get caught with a clip.
You're not.
Too late.
But I do want to get back to what you're bringing in the locker room because you are looked at as a leader, not just from your teammates, but from the fan base. Everyone looks at you as like you are like a leader on this team, and
Yeah.
getting back to what you think that you're bringing to the locker room?
Yeah, I just have tried to be super consistent. I try to lead by example in a position that is often, overlooked. I try to speak up when necessary because I just, I try to defer to the guys who are the more vocal positions in the locker room. And, generally that when I speak up and say stuff, it is heated listened to, because I just try to be very consistent with day in and out, pouring into my teammates, leading by example with integrity, and going the extra mile for my teammates. And then also with, the stuff that I do off the field, leading in the community as well, and using the platform that we have as professional athletes to positively impact the people around us, the people both in the building and, in our community.
I got to ask, boys. It doesn't have to be the Dolphins per se, but what is your funniest locker room moment ever?
Funniest locker room moment. Oh gosh.
It's got to be when Christian was there.
Jesus Christ.
Christian was a couple lockers down from me last year. I freaking love that dude, man.
His energy is contagious.
It is. And like watching him
I told myself I wouldn't cry.
Watching him just be a total goofball on the field, like that is him all the time. Like locker room, like eating in the cafeteria, just total goofball, but like backed it up with this just like mentality of outworking everybody in the locker room, and it showed, and he got rewarded for that with a huge contract. But yeah,
well deserved.
Man, I'm trying to think back to like when I was at LSU, because
there were so many clips from the LSU days. I remember like so many viral moments.
That's why I didn't want to keep it to
like,
just Dolphins.
Coach,
like,
take it easy on that cigar, boy.
Yeah, yes. Some of the post national championship shenanigans were funny. I did not see. I took a picture with, and this is funny because he's on the team now. I took a picture with Odell on the field after the national championship. I've known Odell
when he was passing out
years.
money. When he was passing out,
yes, but I never saw
That's
that.
right, I forgot about that.
Saw videos of it, but I never saw it happen. And so, but he was at LSU with my older brother. So I'd known him for years. We took a picture together after the game, but I'm looking at him like after the fact, I'm like, where was my $300? Like I would have loved to spend money.
What is that? What was that like? So you knew
my
Odell.
My dad's never been on a YouTube show before. This guy will not stop commenting. He's going crazy.
That's all right. Geez. Let him comment. But you knew Odell before, way back when. And now he's on the team. Obviously, it's different time periods and whatnot. But what is it like having him back in the locker room? What was like awesome. Bringing him in? It's
awesome. Yes, love it. Like it has been so cool just watching his career over the course of it, because he is just such a phenomenal talent. But like seeing him go from just this like goofy guy at LSU to being like a respected player in the locker room as like a whatever he is, 11-year vet is really, really cool, and he's still goofy, and funny. And he's just like always got a joke and, some funny dance move or whatever. But like, he is truly like one of the best people to be around, and he is as good as they come. But yeah, I mean, it is super cool to have him on the team now, because I've known him for years, but there he is. I've known him for years, but
so we're boys with him. We're boys with him. So like, it's cool, but we do bust him.
Yeah, it's all love.
call him the Disney Channel of Dolphins Twitter.
No, and going back to the stray thing, I thought he caught an unnecessary stray.
All the time.
love-
Oh, they're necessary. They're well-deserved strays.
What is? We know what comes with the
He's
game,
great.
so like it's all good. We
It wasn't
actually
a stray
go back
from
and
me.
love it.
It was not a stray from me. I immediately took to
Bobby, do you see
Twitter to
that
be like,
comment?
our fans are the best. So,
All right,
me and Finland, I got your back. You know that.
blink twice if it was Javon Holland. It's always Javon Holland.
Oh, that's so good.
Oh man, y'all are funny. But yeah, that's it on the.
Hey, leave it to KOP for trying to make this show about him. Unbelievable.
Unreal. So you're talking about the talent, like you talk about having Odell on the team now. Let's talk about that. You come into the Dolphins in 2020. It's a tank year, supposedly. You know, you're rebuilding everything in between. To think about that roster then and to where it is now, what is that like? What is it like to come into the locker room? You got 8 to 10 Pro Bowlers just chilling. You got Jalen Ramsey in the corner, chopping it up with Odell. You got Tyreek over here playing ping pong with Jalen Waddle. Like, what is that like, man?
Yeah, it's cool. It really is cool. And you know, when you've got a guy like Mike in the building, good players want to be around other good players and other good coaches. Like it is infectious. And so it's no surprise that as soon as Mike came here and started building his roster, that the more success that we've had, the more other players want to be a part of what we're doing here. And it's not all Mike. There are countless people in the front office. Our owner is the best owner in sports. I will hands down the best
Even
owner.
Rod, that's a clip.
He is the best.
That guy gets hate for no reason.
And he
is the best.
He gives us every single resource needed to win. If you look at the
Hey, can
NFL,
the boys give a round of applause for the boy?
That's a clip right there, boys.
NFLPA, whatever
The
it's
survey.
called.
The survey.
I'm our Players Association rep, and I can't remember the name of it. The survey, the report card. Yep. If you look at that last year and this year, the 2 years that it's been a thing, we got second last year and we were first this year. The few things that were weaknesses for our organization last year were like voted number one in the league this year. So that just goes to show you that not only is he trying to make this the best organization in sports, but he wants the feedback. He wants to make it even better, and he wants to win that badly that he wants to give us any resource possible to bring a Super Bowl trophy to South Florida.
And to kind of piggyback on that, think about it. We're in a culture now in South Florida where the Panthers are at the top of the game. The Heat have been at the top of the game for years.
Yep.
We have Messi.
Yep.
Like
FAU was like March
great.
Madness, like Cinderella last year.
Yep.
Like there's so many like layers right now of greatness.
Yeah.
And I got news for you. It doesn't matter if the Panthers win the Stanley Cup. Doesn't matter if the Heat win 1 million championships. This city loves the Dolphins.
Yep.
Like it's the first love of any kid.
Yeah.
Yep.
It just is what it is, and I love my South Florida sports. But brother, the things I'll do for a Super Bowl are not okay. I can't even say I'm on that. Like
I think what is cool about sort of what is going on right now is our organization is trying to build something that is not just a 1-year thing. Like we want this to be sustainable for years to come, and to be the next dynasty. The next great teams, more than just bringing one Super Bowl trophy to
i.e. Tampa,
and then all of a sudden it's in and out the door. So yeah, I think that's sort of the beauty of it. We want to win here for a long time, not just once.
By the way, boys, I know we were supposed to do an hour, but we're kind of vibing.
I'm
Oh
good.
yeah, we know. We'll go.
Show
Yeah,
goes
we're
on.
going. Show goes on. With that being said, Blake, I know we just we gave Mr. Ross his flowers.
Yeah.
There is one thing that he falls short on. There's one
gosh.
thing.
Oh boy,
Jesus
here's the
Christ.
ghost coming out. Here's Patricia.
I'm just saying. When are we gonna get permanent throwbacks?
Oh man.
When are we getting
That's a great
throwbacks?
question.
I
Salute
need-
to that.
Yeah, that's a good
Listen.
question. There, like, where do the players stand? And
Listen, Blake,
what, is there
I
any
need
like
not only
rumors?
you, I need a temperature of the locker room. I need your opinion. This
But don't get
logo I'm
yourself
wearing
in
right
trouble.
now. I mean, don't get yourself in trouble,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to tell you how you feel, but I think I know. I think I know how everyone feels. So go ahead.
I think, yeah, I mean the throwback uniforms are obviously some of the greatest uniforms in all of sports. Like that is no question.
I might shed a tear.
Cheers to
but
that.
yeah, I mean that is far above my pay grade.
Yeah, I'm not telling you to.
I don't know. I don't know whose decision that is. If that, I'm sure that goes all the way up to Mr. Ross. So I can't speak necessarily to who is making that decision. But I will say personally, I do love I love the throwbacks. I also wish we could wear aqua more, but I do understand like the white uniforms thing because of the heat. I get that. So, if it gives us that much more of a winning edge,
yep,
I'll wear the white all day long.
So what you're saying is Bill fans need to calm down with the crying about being in the heat.
Oh man.
That's what you're saying.
Hey, Reed doesn't cry to you.
I was so funny story. I was clapping at my brother when they announced the Thursday night game for
here we go.
week 2.
We were so upset about that, man.
I was clapping at my brother in our family group chat because I said since that game we haven't gotten a home game against the Bills at 1 p.m. And we likely never will.
So we're not crazy.
No,
It's called, dude. They called OSHA. The fans
called
the
OSHA.
fans were
They
tweeting
called
at
OSHA.
They called like after that 2022
actually,
game
is
at
that a
home.
thing?
Dude, they were tweeting at OSHA to like shut down the Dolphins stadium.
I was like,
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
the fans.
But yeah, I mean,
You're
it's
such crybabies, man.
I wish I could say that we had control over our schedule, but we don't. The league does that, and I do think that it is an incredible home field advantage for us, and I want as many 1 p.m. home games as possible because we're out there practicing. We're practicing in the hottest part of the day on purpose. So
yes, sir.
For us to be able to use that home field advantage when we can is incredibly important.
Because guess what? When we go to cold weather, we don't live in cold weather, so that's their advantage. So why wouldn't we get the same advantage?
Speaking of cold weather, Blake.
Oh boy, here we go.
On record, it was one of the coldest games of all time in Kansas City.
Yeah.
When you took a step out on that field, I mean, you're from Southern Georgia too. I don't know if it gets cold down there. I don't know if it stays hot all year round. I'm from the Northeast, so I'm used to the cold. But I'm not even like shorts weather is up to 30, 20 degrees for me. But that's even way past that. So when you guys got there and when you guys were kind of trying to acclimate as best as you can during warmups and stuff, was there ever a moment where you're like, all right, this is getting a little ridiculous?
Yeah, it was when I was putting on the scuba diving shirt that I wore under my pads that day. That was when I was like, what is happening right now? But you know what? I will say, like that game for us in Kansas City was totally preventable. Like
I said that all the time, and I get ripped for it.
We controlled that, our own destiny, and we should not have had to be in that position. So let me just start there. Obviously, there are a lot of things that go into that, but when it comes to people saying like, why was this game played in the cold weather? Like, we should have not been there in the first place. So,
hell yeah.
Hey, you know what? That starts with coaching. That's accountability right there.
Well,
Hell yeah,
and
that's what
you
we
gotta
wanna
look
hear.
You got to look yourself in the mirror and take accountability for the things that went well and the things that didn't. And so we are working so hard to make sure that next year that if we are in the playoffs, that those games are at home. So
Yes, sir. Thank you.
but
fun fact, Blake.
I'll kind of go into I'll just kind of go into and finish your question real quick before.
Good.
When I walked out onto the field, there is no like acclimation to that. Like you don't get acclimated to -30 wind chill. Like you just survive.
Survive.
Yeah, it was like that was truly like the biggest test of mental toughness I've ever been a part of, like ever. Like we would during warmups, we'd go and we'd like snap, punt, kick like 2 or 3 balls, and then we'd run over to the heaters on the sideline for like 2 minutes. And then we would run back out there and we'd kick 2 or 3 more, and then we'd run back over to the heaters. Just because like if you're out there for longer than like 10 minutes, like on the field away from like a heat source, it was very, 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 very cold, obviously, but like that is borderline dangerous. So it was crazy. Like it was wild how cold it was. I could not believe, just like even with all of the layers, with those big coats on, with the hand warmers, with the face thing, like any exposed skin for longer than like 10, 15 seconds was burning. Like it felt like it was burning. So it was wild. But the next week I went to Buffalo. They played Kansas City that following week, and it was like 15 degrees. And I was like, t-shirt weather. Like this is easy. I feel like Superman,
Jason Kelsey's chugging beers in the crowd.
Yeah. I mean, it was like t-shirt weather compared to what I felt like Superman. It was the weirdest thing. I was like, if I can play in this, I can play anywhere. Sorry, Joe Robbie.
No, it's okay. No, so obviously my football career was a lot shorter than yours. But I grew up down here, born and raised. And I had the opportunity to go play up in Wisconsin for a D3 school called Concordia University. So they came down to my house. I felt like I was like a D1 prospect. They came down, they did dinner at my family's house. I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm important. They sold me, they go, don't worry, during the winter, all of the campus is connected and you don't have to go outside. But I forgot about football, obviously.
Sheesh.
So I go up there in July. I'm like, okay, awesome. This is great. Summer, boom, great. We're on a bluff. We are on the bluff of Lake Michigan.
Oof.
Yes. So my first football season, and Bobby, South Floridians, like we don't even like past 60. Like it's a thing. So like Blake, right? Now that you live down here, it's really a thing.
Yeah. I went to San Diego like 3 days ago, and I walked outside and it was like 62 degrees and like kind of overcast, and I was like, ooh, like
yes, exactly. I'm wearing a sweater right now, and
your blood thins out truly, like it does. Like you acclimate to that South Florida heat, and you go other places, and you're like, this is not what I remember, 50 degrees
at all. Right. So think about an 18-year-old kid who knows he's not going to the NFL. I'm playing D3 school. I go, and as soon as December hits, dude, my mom tells my dad, do not let him come home for Christmas break. He's not going back. Newsflash, they let me go home. I never went back.
Never went back.
Never went back. I'm like, dude, I'm not going anywhere. I am not sitting in this cold weather just to play football anymore.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like much fun.
So speaking of San Diego, you're currently on a wedding tour, right?
Yes. So I have been to 2 weddings already in the last 2 weeks. Wedding number 3 is coming up this upcoming weekend, and then my wedding is in a few weeks. So my
brother. Cheers to that.
Yeah, cheers
Thanks,
to that,
guys.
bro.
My fiance she has 2 younger sisters who got engaged just before we did, and we all ended up planning our weddings on the same summer. And so not only that, so there's 3 weddings in 6 weeks for Abby and her 2 sisters. Her sorority sister and one of her best friends was also engaged and got married this past weekend. And so it's just like so many weddings in like such a short amount of time. It's fun. Like it's going to be something when we look back at this year for our larger family. Like this is going to be really like a really cool year to look back on and remember, and sort of celebrate that together because we all kind of are going through it at the same time. But I mean the like Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi and Don't Stop Believing by Journey, like those are sort of getting they're making their way out of my playlist on my Spotify because I'm hearing it so much at these events.
Speaking
Shut
of
up
music,
and dance with me.
That's right. Yeah.
All right.
speaking of music,
Come on, man.
another thing we all have in common, Luke Combs. We're all big fans of Luke
The
Combs. I see
boy.
you've been showing
The
love to Luke
album.
Combs lately. You've been
New album.
been at his shows.
Yeah.
I'm from North Carolina. I was hanging out with Luke and Rowdy Rob in 2016 with the blue neon
Come on.
at friggin' Farm Fest. So like I'm huge Luke Combs, dude. So like
Huge,
when did
bro.
you find out about Luke Combs? When did you fall in love with Luke Combs? What kind
Yeah.
of relationship y'all have?
That's my guy, man. So I came across Luke in spring of 2016. The girl I was dating at the time and I went to a Brantley Gilbert concert in Baton Rouge, and Luke was opening.
Dude, no way.
Yeah, Luke was opening for Brantley, and I had no idea who Luke was. We were there with another couple that we were friends with, and I remember like listening to him perform, and this was back when it was just Hurricane was like his only song that was popular.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think that was
He
like
ended every show with that, and everybody's like, "There it is."
Yeah.
That's the one.
Like at the time, I didn't even know Hurricane. Like I was not a huge country music fan at the time. The girl that I was dating kind of got me into it. I listened to it growing up, and then I kind of stopped. But then I have obviously since picked it up again. But we heard Luke, and we were like, I don't know any of this guy's songs, but they're all good. Like they're all like he's such a good artist. He's such a good singer,
Songwriter.
songwriter. And then so that was sort of when I first heard about him. And then he like started listening to him more and more. And When It Rains, It Pours.
Beautiful.
Oh gosh, She Got the Best of Me. Like those songs coming out, all of them going #1 on the radio. And later that fall, he came back to Baton Rouge and played at the Texas Club. He played 2 nights, and he came out to practice one day, and I met him. And I just, took a picture with him, and I was like, hey, big fan, like, love your music, love what you're doing, welcome to Baton Rouge. And that was kind of it. And so he came back to Baton Rouge a couple more times, but that was like the first sort of engagement that I had with him. And since then, I've been to so many shows, and his people are so kind. Like his whole crew and band and everybody have all become great friends of mine. And now it's so much fun I go to one or 2 shows a year. I try to make it to. This year was up in Buffalo. He played in Buffalo on my birthday back a month and a half ago.
I almost went.
My first time, or that was my brother's first time meeting him, and getting to hang with the guys and stuff. And so it was cool, like getting to introduce my brother to Luke and to all the guys and stuff. But like, love Luke. Like him and his whole team, his family are so sweet. Like his mom and dad are the best. Just good folks from North Carolina who care about
sir.
super, super down to earth folks. and his wife is Nicole is a huge Dolphins fan.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yep, she's from South Florida, and I want to say she's from like maybe West Palm area, but she's a huge Dolphins fan. And then his steel guitar player Kurt is from Cooper City, so he's a huge Dolphins fan.
Cooper City, shout out Cowboys.
Yeah, shout out Cooper City. Cooper City Cowboys, come on.
Come on now.
And so he's got some Dolphins blood in his camp, but they're good folks, man. Like they're the best people.
Yeah,
Bobby,
one thing
what's your best Luke story? What's your best concert you've seen from him?
Gosh,
best concert. It goes all the way back. Definitely got to be at Coyote Joe's, Charlotte, North Carolina, when he was right before the record deal signing. 3,500 people sweating. I've talked to Luke after the show, sweating shoulder to shoulder. 3,500 people, Coyote Joe's. He agrees. I agree. Coyote Joe's, go back to that's the best show there ever will be. He'll go back to Coyote Joe's tomorrow and play.
He just did Coyote Joe's again last year for like I think it was like a promotional thing, or they did like a live stream or something from Coyote Joe's. It was like some small show. Obviously for him, it's a tiny show now.
Yeah.
But I think he just went back there, and it's still like 1,000 degrees in that venue. Like they're
no hotter venue. Like
the
Bills fans think Miami's hot. Go to Coyote Joe's on a Friday night with Luke Combs playing.
Dude, I'm out on that, man.
So my favorite Luke Combs show ever. I surprised my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, with a trip to Nashville and got to see him at Grand Ole Opry.
Nice.
It was him, Darius, and Jimmy Allen.
Nice.
It was so good that we bought the show right after and seen both shows in 2 nights. The same exact show 2 times in one night. Like,
that's awesome.
Like we like every year we try to travel one time a year to go see him somewhere different. You know what I mean?
The Opry, for everyone listening, the Opry is like a spiritual experience. Like that is one of the best venues in all of country music.
Well, they literally call it going to church.
Yes.
No, it gave me goosebumps, bro. Yeah. And Blake, just a little background. I sing, so for me to be in it's almost like you're in high school and you're at the talent show. That's how intimate it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is super cool, and it's like the acoustics in there, like everything sounds so good. Their house band is amazing. Like everything is just so awesome there. Like I've been there twice, and it is a really, really cool experience each and every time. But I've never seen Luke there. I need to.
It was incredible.
Be back up there.
And so was Darius.
When you're a member,
Darius was incredible at Opry.
When you're a member, you have to. I think you're like required to do a certain number of shows there per year or something like that. That's just like part of the deal. But I need to find out when he's going to be back there and get up for one of those, because I can't imagine that. That sounds amazing.
It's like most concerts, you can't really hear the singer because so many people are there. They're so excited. They're singing along. Mostly me screaming. My wife telling me, "Shut up! I want to hear him sing." And at Grand Ole Opry, nobody says a word. It's you can hear a drop of a dime, and it's just all
everybody's
about the
sitting
artist.
down. Yeah, it is so cool. So cool. There, and if you go to the Ryman Auditorium, which is also in Nashville, that one's in like downtown Nashville. That's where the Grand Ole Opry like radio show started, and has.
Oh, I didn't even know that. That's super cool.
It's since moved out to where the Opry is now. But yeah, those are both like some of the top venues. Coyote Joe's, from what I've heard, is top notch. One of my best friends that I actually met through Luke and Rowdy is from Gastonia, and he is like a Coyote Joe's. He loves him some Coyote Joe's, but I've heard amazing things about it. That's another one that is on my list.
Bobby, hometown visit. We're gonna go and go watch Luke.
Dude,
let's go.
Coyote Joe's
the funniest
insane.
thing was, listen, I'm gonna speak on behalf of that because Blizzy asked the question: are Blake and Bobby actually cousins? When our friend John, he's supposed to be here today, but he had some things to take care of. He's like our Photoshop god, right? He's the one who did the Balake video and
Yeah,
everything.
he made that
like,
video you loved.
So
made
good.
that video.
Guy's incredible.
awesome.
And by
But
the
dude,
way,
he
he's a
posted
lawyer.
that picture
Just so we're
of
clear.
he posted Bobby's face on you walking in, and nobody noticed it. Nobody noticed it. And I don't
That's
I know
so
you
good.
probably did, obviously, but like
That's
everybody,
very
like
good.
people were quote tweeting that, being like, "Wow, dude, Blake's back at camp," and we're like, "That's
We're
not
so
the
lucky to have
person.
him. He's such a stand-up guy. Like, I
That's
love him.
Bobby's face."
And it was
So,
literally
yeah.
just me chilling with a Louisiana swamp people hat. It was so
Yeah,
awesome.
that's awesome.
That's all it
That's
was.
so good. That's so good. I think
But,
if I grow my beard out a little bit, we could probably pull it off.
If
Yeah.
I grow mine
But,
out,
Blake,
we can pull it off
we-
too, Ghost.
You got to have a beard that connects first. Second off,
Oh, I can't do
Blake-
that. It's the Irish in me.
Blake, we appreciate all your time here, and what
man.
we really want to do here for you is you're huge in the community. You care about the community. You have a drive for it, and like I said, you're a leader on and off the field. And I want to give you, before we wrap things up, I want to give you a chance to talk about some of the charities and some of the work that you do off the field. Give everybody a chance on Twitter and everybody out there to know what you do and you know what's really important to you.
Yeah. So the two charities that right now that I've been working with the most and I'm super, super passionate about are in the diabetes space, the type 1 diabetes space. I've been type 1 for 13 or 14 years. JDRF, which I think has just now rebranded to something else. I can't remember what the name of it is, but JDRF, Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. They're the ones that like the day that I was diagnosed with type 1, I was in the hospital. Like somebody from JDRF came by my hospital room and just encouraged me, said, "Hey, we are a resource for you. If there's anything that we can do to help you, please do not hesitate to reach out." They are doing all kinds of education. They're also obviously raising money to find a cure for type 1. They're doing all kinds of amazing, amazing things. So that would be the first one that they're the ones that I put on my cause, my cleats every year. And then the second one that I have been working with a ton recently is in the military and veterans space, and it's called Creative Vets. They're out of Nashville. This is sort of bringing in my connection with country musicians and artists and veterans. So what they do is really cool. They let's go, Robert, my guy.
Let's go, Rob.
Yeah, that's awesome. Tell her she's doing a phenomenal job and she's a warrior. But so what Creative Vets does is they pair songwriters with veterans who are struggling with some sort of trauma, PTSD, things like that, and they tell their story through a song. And it's
That's
often
awesome.
very
That's sick.
yeah, it's very therapeutic for these service members, these veterans who go home every day from whatever their new civilian job is after they've gotten out of the military, and they don't know how to share what they're feeling. They don't have anybody in their household that can empathize with them because of the trauma that they've gone through. So they feel like nobody understands what it's like for them. And so what they've done is they've allowed these songwriters to put together a song and tell their story. And there's a record label in Nashville that has put up money for these songwriters to then go and record it. And the songs go out on Spotify. And so that's another way to be able to support these veterans and, just share their stories, because I that is like something I'm super, super passionate about is how overlooked the veterans in our communities are, because they have done so much for our country. And then they get out, and a lot of times there are very little, or they don't know about the resources that are available to them. And then they struggle, and 22 veterans a day commit suicide. 22.
It's crazy.
And I am on a mission to make sure that number comes down. So Creative Vets is the name of it. You can look on their Spotify page. They're on social media. Them and JDRF are the two that I'm like uber passionate about and love and support because I know that the money when donated to those organizations, I can see where it's going and I can put my name on this is going to the right place and this is helping the right people.
Dude, that gave me chills. I didn't know that existed.
That's crazy.
My brother's in the he's active Army, and
when I came across that organization, man, like I absolutely fell in love with it. They are the best. Sorry.
Yeah, my brother's in the Army, and that's like it's close to home. So like that's something that's incredible, and I appreciate you sharing all of that. And
totally.
we got two things left for you that I kind of want to wrap up with. The first is you got an open bar still in the dive bar. We always want to have you back. This is as much your show as it is ours now because you're the first guest, and this is an incredible experience.
Your footprint will be here forever, man.
Dream come true, man. Like this is awesome. We have the first Dolphins podcast. We don't do this, and the first time we get
like
we
all have
you on the podcast.
Careers. Like,
and then the second thing is I'm gonna let Anthony take it from here. But Blake, for the man who probably has everything, we got you a little something we're gonna send you.
You didn't use my stage name, bro.
Come on, dude.
Come on, boy. Have you ever been to the restaurant CJ Black's?
I've not.
Okay, so this is awesome that you haven't been there. Not awesome because you need to go there, but it's one of my favorite restaurants, and actually Tua and Tweeka go there all the time. Like it's one of their favorites as well.
Cool.
And the owner, his specialty is bourbons. Like the guy's he showed me he has a app. It's called Only Drams, and he literally records all of his bourbons. And he can go and he'll have a portfolio and he can see every single percentage of uncommon, common, rare, super rare. So he actually made a barrel of bourbon and I wanted to give it to you. So I'll figure out how to send it to you.
Let's go.
We'll talk off.
It's a private selection.
Let's go. Thank you.
Private selection. He has his own barrel on facility. The guy is a aficionado. Would love for you to go there one day.
I would love that.
So yeah, man. I just as bourbon lovers, I felt like that was pretty proper. You know what I'm saying?
That is an outstanding gift. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I'm have to try it. I'll have to check them out. You'll have to send me his contact. I'll see if I can get my fiance over there with me for dinner.
And dude, the food is incredible.
Where is it?
I'm not even being funny. It's right off of Hiatus and 595. It's incredible.
Oh, okay. Nice. That's easy. Let's go.
Yeah, and y'all both live in Plantation. Y'all can make that work easily.
Heck yeah.
Just make that exchange there. But Blake, man, this has been, like I said, I can't tell you how much this is an honor, but we think you're an amazing guy. You're an amazing person on and off the field. You know, I think that you should be proud of your football career, but you should be proud of the person that you are because you're an amazing dude. You do a lot for the community, and you exemplify what it is to be a leader, not only on the field but in this world, this crazy world, man. So it's a pleasure having you on. I hope you come back. Cross my fingers. I know that you guys are in. I know that in season kind of puts caps on the media that you could do, but I'll tell you what. Having you and Reed on during Bills Dolphins week. I'm just saying, if we can make it happen, man.
Dude.
If we can make that happen,
talk about OSHA.
I went on a podcast with one of his like Bills radio guys. Yeah. Like him and one of his Bills radio guys. So I'll have to get him on a podcast with me and you guys
and the boys
to pay the dues back. But thank you so much, man. This has been so much fun. Getting to finally put faces with names and getting to chat with you guys and chop it up. I said at the beginning, as always, thank y'all so much for supporting us. Truly, we would not be able to do what we do as players without you guys supporting us and paying our bills. So thank you for that because we are blessed to do what we do for a living. So thank y'all.
Hey, cheers,
I can personally say we appreciate you, man. You've been like flawless through this whole process and super nice, super available. So we appreciate you coming on and helping us out, man.
Yeah, totally. And Gatos.
Vamos,
Vamos
gatos.
Gatos. Let's go, Cats. All right, everybody,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Dive Bar, our first episode with long snapper number 1, leader on and off the field, Blake Ferguson. It has been a pleasure. We will talk to everybody soon. We'll let you know when the next one comes out. Thank you so much, Blake.
Later, guys.